Well, we had Eddie, and I stayed home with him for the first 3 months while I was on FMLA. And then I went back to work full time, and I worked in the ER night shift. He was 18 months when he first started getting sick. He was getting fever after fever, and there was really no reason for it. He didn't go to daycare. He wasn't around other kids. So we took him to his regular pediatrician, and he just explained it as he was getting viruses. But then his blood count started to drop. He went October 8th to have the bone marrow biopsy, and before he was taken back to do the procedure, I went into the bathroom and I prayed that it would be anything but leukemia. It was just a frightening day. I mean, I was just scared that entire day. And also I had essentially a baby who was not feeling well. So they took him back and did the bone marrow biopsy, and then we were told to go back to the office with Eddie, and he could just play in the office while we waited on the results. And about an hour later, the doctor came to the office and said that he didn't have the official results back, but he was pretty sure by looking under the microscope that Eddie had type B leukemia. And that was devastating to hear. You have this baby and you expect them to be perfect, and all I could think about was, how did this happen to my baby? With me being a nurse, I knew what was coming: chemo, a port, hospital stays. I knew he would not get to live a typical childhood. And it was just really financially hard on our family.
The hospital was it able to compensate you at all?
I was only compensated for what PTO hours I had accrued.
Gotcha.
But I was like, he was only 20 months old at that time, so I had only been back to work for 17 months, and I had been taking off intermittently for Eddie when he was just getting sick all that time. So I really didn't have many PTO hours, and I was able to work part-time for a while. But then that became too much with his doctor visit. I mean, we were in the doctor's office 2 to 3 times a week. Today, I got a call from his doctor's office, and they told me that his hemoglobin was low and that he needed a blood transfusion, and that I needed to be there at 11:30.
Upon initially learning about Eddie's diagnosis, you mentioned that you couldn't find anyone else who shared your story, who you had nobody to reference.
Right. Well, the office staff was really my main support, because they're the ones that answered all my questions, gave me emotional support when I was crying. And also, I really connected to his nurses because I'm a nurse. Not that I would have chosen to go on this journey.
Right.
But I think they were better for it. Yeah. Eddie really he's grown up a lot over the past 3 years. He has met a lot of people, made a lot of friends. He has a lot of friends in the cancer center. We've seen a few of them pass away, which has been sad, but it's taught him about, life and living your fullest life that you have. And
even at 5 years old.
Exactly, yeah.
With the amount of doctor's visits you had between chemo, doctor's visits, blood transfusions, all of it, you weren't able to work for about 17 months within that.
Yeah, I actually stopped working completely for 7 months.
Yeah, okay.
But the rest of the time I was PRN working, an 8-hour shift here, whenever I could. But it's hard to maintain an attendance.
Right.
When your child out of nowhere can get sick. We've struggled financially for me not being able to hold down a full-time job. And then also we've struggled emotionally. You know, there's a lot of PTSD almost, like from and it's mostly the parents, because Eddie didn't know what he was going through. He was just a baby. He didn't, you know, go through it. It affected us a lot more. So it's been hard in that way. There's been, you know, therapy for us, and we've had a lot of support from Friends of Kids of Cancer. They offer programs for parents who, like for therapy and counseling and things like that. And I've also seen a private therapist. And then also Eddie's been in play therapy because growing up with a chronic illness, he couldn't be around a lot of other kids, so he doesn't understand a lot of social cues. He's behind developmentally, socially, and physically. He's been in physical therapy. So there's a lot of things that go with having a child with a chronic illness.
So Eddie's last round of chemo is coming up soon, right?
Yes. It'll be November.
Awesome.
He has 2 more intravenous infusions of chemotherapy, and then he'll take his oral chemo at home for longer, but that'll end in December.
But what does this mean for you with your job?
Well, I continue to just work PRN, and I schedule the minimum amount of hours, and then if I have a day that looks good that I think I'll be able to go to work, I call and pick up.
Nice.
So that's pretty much how I do my schedule right
kind of
now.
Flying by the seat of your pants from a nursing perspective.
Yes.
But, as long as everything goes well, do you picture yourself going back to full-time nursing, or do you think you'll keep PRN part-time?
Yeah, I'll stay part-time probably for the next few years. Until things, you know, kind of level out with Eddie. We have a lot of medical bills that are existing now, and then also future medical bills that will continue, and he'll probably need therapy even, you know, beyond these years.
All right, so thank you so much for listening to Lesley's story today. If you want to hear more about Lesley's journey, about Eddie's battle, Lesley has a Facebook page that's actually called...
Yes, it's Eddie's Battle on Facebook, and then I also have a blog. It's at amazinglittlelife.com.
Okay, and if you want to give financially, if you want to support Lesley and her family emotionally, we have ways to do that on radnurse.net. Thank you so much. You can check the giving page, the donations page, the how can I help, and we would love to get any support that we can for Lesley and for future nurses that we intend to help through Rad Nurse.